Welcome to my dad's car. Enjoy!
Welcome to My Dad's Car, a podcast discussing our personal relationship with automotive nostalgia. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be about your dad's car. It can be your mum's, your grand's, your parents', guardians, or even a neighbour's. If it made an impression, let's talk about it. Welcome along, Dan, and meet my good friend Jon.
Hello, Dan. How you doing?
Hello, mate.
Good stuff. Looks like you've got a slightly more evolution beard than I have, isn't it? Sort of, next step.
I've got those Arabian genes for that, bro.
Yeah, I think I probably have secretly as well.
So, for the benefit of the tape, I met Dan through my brother. We met probably on Mike's stag do, didn't we, I think? And I was thinking last night kind of how much of this story do we regale about obviously kidnapping him from Tesco's and him doing a parachute jump in a lady's swimming costume.
Oh, yeah.
And all of that.
And then when he broke his nose doing the worm in the club.
That's probably enough embarrassment for him. But
sounds like a proper stag do, that one, doesn't it? Did he make it to the wedding in the end? Or?
Yeah, he was there, and still happily married. So it all worked out in the end.
Very good.
So met Dan doing that, and you produce jewellery and stuff, don't you? As kind of your day job. Amazing things made out of wood and all the rest of it.
Yep.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. So thought we'd invite you along and ask you about your dad's car or mum's car or whatever.
Thanks, guys. I will preface this by saying that I'm perhaps the worst person you could have brought onto this podcast.
Sorry for anyone listening.
Well, let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
I've listened to a couple of other episodes, and I think there was like some lady who had I think she had about 20 cars or something, and all these interesting stories. And I can't be honest, I'll let you know, right? My grandfather, he didn't have a car. He literally rode around like a horse and cart. Like, I am that level of peasantry.
So let's jump into it. What's your earliest motoring memory? Something with wheels and an engine, maybe?
That's not an engine. Oh. He got a two horsepower cart, he did.
Could be a boat, could be a horse, anything you've got.
Well, I think my earliest, let's think. So my older brother, he's like 9 years older than me. He had a Mini Cooper.
Okay.
He had a purple Mini, I remember.
Nice.
And one of the front panels was like smashed off of it. So it was all purple apart from this one panel, which was like blue. And we used to live in quite a rough place in South Wales. And I just remember the one night, I was like lying in bed, and all of a sudden I could hear my brother like shouting out the window because there was like a couple of boys like trying to break into his Mini in the middle of the night, and he sort of like chased them off with a screwdriver. So
the chosen weapon in South Wales.
Yeah, pretty much.
Was it a flathead or a Phillips head?
I think the flathead's always better, isn't it, for that sort of
I don't know. It sounds like you boys got a lot of experience with shanking people with screwdrivers then, isn't it?
That's the other podcast we do.
Yeah.
This is common in the vintage car scene.
That's why I moved to southeast London, sort of up my game a little bit.
You'll notice Jon is actually wearing an orange boiler suit. That may or may not give you a hint as to his current residence.
Yeah.
This is his weekly phone call from the cell, is it? So, yeah, but basically I grew up in a town called Tredegar, and yeah, it's quite like a deprived place in South Wales. So none of my family really had very nice things. So I don't really know. Ask me some more questions. Let's go through it. Let's see.
Did your parents drive, or were they just walking people or horses?
No. Well, my mum drove, and so did my stepdad and my older brother Gareth. Yeah.
So what did your mum drive? If you don't know the model, we can kind of just describe it: colours, smells.
It was like rectangular red with tiny wheels. No, I think it was like a Volkswagen Polo.
Okay.
Like an old one.
Yeah.
I think it was a Polo. It was like, I don't even know if it was even 1 litre engine. Tiny.
Sounds a bit like a squareback to me, Andy.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
So she used to drive one of those.
So who would be in it? Are you and your brother in the back, possibly?
No, my brother's quite a lot older than me, so he was always driving around in his little purple Mini.
Yeah.
And he later got into motorbikes, so I know nothing about. So, and yeah, like my mum would just like as she'd commute to work in a little red Polo. And I remember the one day it was snowing, and she tried to drive down quite a steep hill down a country lane and just sort of like slid all the way down there into a tree.
Tobogganed.
Yeah, she tobogganed down a hill. But thankfully, she said like a couple of rugby lads pulled up and sort of like pulled the car out of the ditch for her, and off she went on her way. The valleys, man.
It doesn't get much more Welsh than that, does it?
Yeah.
And your stepfather, was he behind the wheel as well?
Yeah, I remember he had a racing green Nissan Micra.
Ooh, sounds fast.
Yeah. But do you know what? Nowadays, it's funny because I live with my girlfriend Georgia, and she now has a Nissan Micra, but she's got like a limited edition one. It's orange with like a color shift paint, so it goes from orange to purple, right. And she calls it Charmander. And like literally wherever we go, there's old people always give her compliments on it. Like, oh, especially the little kids. Mummy, look at that car! It's so cool.
It's like those rulers you used to get in a party bag, isn't it? From a little kid's birthday party.
Yeah, she's got the color shifting Micra Charmander.
How old is the Micra?
Oh, God knows. I think it was made this century.
Yeah, early noughties probably. I think.
Yeah,
I think I know the one.
I think I know actually. Yeah.
And that theme of racing green, like I now drive like an old Toyota Yaris, and it's racing green, and I call it Green Lightning.
Nice.
You've got like a driveway of Marvel characters by the sound of things.
Hey, Green Lightning's the chick magnet, you know?
Quite the charmer. Is that how you wooed your girlfriend?
I can't tell you about that on this podcast, mate.
Wonderful. So, any musical memories from your parents' vehicles? Cassette tapes stuck in the recorder? Breakdowns?
Well, I remember my older brother. He's the one who got me into heavy metal. You know, it's always your older brother's heavy metal. Isn't it? And so yeah, we'd always. If he ever gave me a lift anyway, we'd be thrashing around in his purple Mini, listening to Metallica on tape. And then he later became an undertaker. He was like an undertaker for like over 10 years.
Okay.
So he'd drive a hearse. So like, you know, we'd have to bring the hearse home for the weekend while he's on call and stuff. So if you ever need a lift anywhere, you'd like turn up to a house party, dropped off in a hearse. Slipknot blurring out the side of it.
Is he still involved in that industry?
No, he
bit of a dying trade, isn't it now?
Funny story though. He this is a complete tangent.
Perfect.
So my brother Gareth, he ended up shacking up with his now wife Sarah, and she was like an undertaker as well, but they both sort of like quit the trade and they moved to Cornwall. And they end up moving into a place called Rose Cottage, and like in the funeral trade, apparently, like Rose Cottage is like the code word that they all use for like the mortuary. and actually, like the closest building to them, they live like down some lane in Cornwall. Like the closest building to them was actually the crematorium. So. They literally,
goodness gracious,
they tried to escape from the death trade, and it seemed to have followed them around.
That's a hell of a coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it?
I don't know. They're spooky. They're spooky people.
They're probably snowed under at the moment. I know of Halloween and stuff. It sounds like they'd be well involved with those sort of things this time of year.
Rose Cottage apparently was a little bit haunted.
Yeah.
Yeah, they told me some spooky stories, but I didn't realize this was going to be a Halloween special.
Yeah. You've got the orange cup, I've got the orange jumper for the benefit of the tape.
That was a ghost for the benefit of the tape. So heavy metal in a hearse.
Yeah.
We have kind of just made a few references, haven't we, to the funeral industry and whether or not My Dad's Car podcast could kind of play a role in funerals with kind of eulogies and things along those lines.
Definitely worth exploring, isn't it, I think?
Yeah.
I think we've got the right tone for it, haven't we?
very serious.
Somber.
I think we're just so balanced, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine you in front of the congregation, orange jumper, green shorts. We're gathered here.
You know I've got those on, don't you?
So, take us back to the polo and stuff like that. Were you going away on holiday anywhere in vehicles or visiting relatives, or was everyone in Wales?
I don't think I knew where a holiday was until I was in my 20s. We were that poor. No, I remember when I was like quite young. How old was I? I must have been like 7 or 8. And my mum got a job working at the creche in the DVLA.
I thought you were going to say crematorium then. I really
No.
did.
I think she did work in the funeral trade for a little bit, but she quit because it was awful. But yeah, she worked in the the DVLA.
Yeah.
Swansea.
Yeah, so she worked at the DVLA, just sort of in the, I think it must have been the summer school or something, the creche for the DVLA. And so we went there a few times for holidays.
I think they process your change of address. That's why it takes so long, because it's all done by 3-year-olds.
I think they've got some very archaic systems, haven't they?
I always find it baffling, actually, like when you send stuff over there, because it's a really short address, isn't it, from memory? And you just kind of like...
DVLA Swansea postcode.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, someone.
No roads.
Yeah, it always gets there, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's only one of them,
Yeah.
So...
Next door to Rose Cottage.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went there. I don't remember anything about the drive. I was 7, so nothing really to report. She did have a friend there. A friend. I don't know if there was. Now on reflection, when I'm in my 30s, like, oh yeah, friend was in that. Yeah, there was this geezer called Gary, and he had a Citroen Dolly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and like the back of it was like made out of wood.
Yeah.
And I was always very confused about that man and his car. His wooden car. I wonder if that's still going. Who knows?
Yeah.
Is the Dolly the 2CV? Is that just a name?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
They had like a rollback roof and
That's it. Yeah.
little headlights.
Yeah. I think my grandfather's horse and cart could run faster in it though. So
What did your grandfather do, just out of interest? Do you know much about his trade?
I think smoked rollies.
A tobacco tester.
Yeah, I don't know. What did he do? I have no idea. I really don't know. He died when I was quite young, so I don't know. Don't know much about Grandcha Tut. I know he was a little guy. He was just a little guy with a horse and cart who grew vegetables. I don't know.
So are there any sort of memorable journeys from, well, doesn't have to be your youth, from any time really, that potentially you took? I know you said there weren't any holidays, but was there like school runs or anything like that? Or
I went to school in a town called Pontypool because I went to a Welsh-speaking school, and they're not very common in South Wales, especially when I was growing up. So you got like kind of like one Welsh school per county kind of thing.
Okay.
So I had to sort of get on the bus every day, and the bus would go around all the different little towns to pick up all the kids on the way to Pontypool. And then when you get there, then there's like all the other buses and all the other places like Newport and down the other valleys, and they'd all come together. So yeah, it was bus journeys basically, is what I remember most from my time as a youngster.
were you a back of the bus sort of guy? Or
You start out in year 7 down the front.
yeah,
And then, like, as you progress through the years, you finally, the year 11s leave, and then your crew gets to go and sit at the back.
this
then.
is your time.
Yeah.
Walkman's on.
Oh, CD Walkman, but like the size of your head. And your big,
Pack of juicy fruit.
your big pack of CDs. Brilliant.
I don't know. They're born now, do they, with these digital devices?
I know. Remember tapes? God, that was fun, wasn't it? They'd like rewind them and everything. Like, I want to listen to that song again. I have to like listen to the rewind. Oh no! Listen to that again now.
Did you ever tape stuff off the radio? You're a little bit younger than me, I think, so you might have missed out on that, the taping off radios.
Yeah, and I remember like making mixtapes off my brother's tapes and records and that. Don't touch my Beastie Boys record, I'll beat you up.
Any vehicles of note from your neighbourhood? Do you remember anyone down the road with a noisy motorbike? Yeah, car that broke down? We had an old lady who used to live opposite us, actually. She must have been 90 at least. She took her Mini Clubman. And
She's still around?
No, I don't think so, no. She took her Mini Clubman into town and then got the bus home. And like the day later, the police turned up. Just kind of go and see her. And she'd left it in the car park. She'd forgotten she'd driven.
Oh my God. A friend of mine lost her car a couple of years ago in London.
Oh, really? Well, I just forgot what street it was in.
Yeah. Like she drove to work, parked her car, and then just forgot where it was and just never saw it again.
Good God.
That's an expensive game, isn't it? Like at 20-something quid a day or whatever it is in London, at least. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I think it must have just got either stolen or towed away or something. I don't know.
I think that's what people are doing now. They're just driving to London, just leaving the car there. It's just easier and cheaper than paying all the congestion charges and ULEZ and everything. Just leave it there, buy a new one.
So yeah, like I said, I'm probably the worst person you could have got on this podcast because my family have never had any nice cars, and I've had a really bad history with cars.
Do tell us what makes it a bad history.
Well, basically, I passed my driving test on my 5th time.
Wow.
Which I don't think is a good reflection. Yeah, I know. Wow. How am I even allowed on the road?
You should be well practiced, though. If anything, that might make you a more solid driver. I mean, sort of failed 4 times previously.
Yeah. Well, I did eventually pass. I only had 2 minors, which I think is pretty good. And then I went away to Australia. So the first thing I drove after passing my driving test, I became a minibus driver for a hostel.
How long have you been driving? A matter of weeks.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, jump in the minibus. So you can drive people around. So I don't know. I somehow managed to survive that. And then it was a few years later when I got my first car, and I got it was a little silver Fiat Cinquecento.
Nice.
Lovely.
Like the in-betweeners.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of small hatchbacks, isn't there, floating around in your history?
Yeah. So you'd be surprised. So yeah, I called that car Jeff, and he was great. I love Jeff. It was so good. Little tiny, the wheels looked like rich tea biscuits. It's so thin. And the front bumper was hanging off, so he kind of looked like he had a crooked grin. It was great.
What happened to Jeff?
Been in a fight.
And he had a banging sound system. I remember a road trip, me and my friend Jamie Leder driving from Worthing to Newport. And by the time we got there, Leder was deaf because I'd just been playing Slayer and Metallica the whole way there. That was brilliant. So Jeff, eventually, I had to scrap Jeff, which was pretty disappointing. And then what did I get? Then I got a Ford KA for a little bit. So I bought off Gumtree or something and sort of turned up to this person's place and they sold me this KA. And the MOT was up 3 months later. So I took it to the MOT centre and they were like, hey, I come back in a couple of hours, whatever. And so came back and I was like, oh, how did my KA do? And the guy was like, this is the best piece of welding we found underneath your car. And just from under the desk, he just pulled out a lump of oxy resin. And I was like, okay, I'll just drive that one straight to the scrapyard. Then I got some yellow Suzuki something. It was like a box. It just looked like a shoe box. I can't remember what that was.
A wagon, maybe. They did a wagon.
Swift.
I don't know. It might have been. I can't remember.
Alto.
I can't remember. I called it Barrel. Yellow Barrel.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry, just to jump back. Did the KA have a name?
No, the KA didn't last that long.
Okay.
Maybe I can't remember. It was like a one-night stand. The KA was like a one-night stand. We don't even know about that. So yeah, Beryl, I had her for a few months, and then my girlfriend at the time was down in Dorset, and she was driving it, and she called me up because the engine seized up.
Blimey.
Which was a disaster because then I was down in Dorset as well. I think she'd gone out with her mum or something and her sister, and I'd stayed at the cottage with her stepdad. But then they called us and said, oh, yeah, the engine seized up. So then I had to go out to the car, get a lift to where they were. And then I had to call the AA. And I had that AA relay or something where they'll take you wherever you want. And so this poor AA driver, he turns up and he's like, oh, yeah, where do you want to go? And I'm like, the only place I could take this is my local, my regular scrapyard. I'm on first name basis with by this point.
Me again.
Back in Worthing. So this poor guy, man, he towed me all the way back from Exeter to Worthing.
Wow.
Just to scrap it.
Yeah. But he was I think he he'd come back from like Iraq. He was like in the army, and he had like quite severe PTSD. So it was like quite a scary ride home. He's like, anytime there's like a loud noise, he's like, like jumping, and telling me all these like really traumatic stories. It was pretty harrowing, to be honest. So yeah, we scrapped Beryl. And then what happened? Then I got, then I got a Renault Clio.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I went over to Eastbourne to buy a Renault Clio off this guy. And this guy, like, just literally he had, like, no teeth. Like, his fingers were, like, yellow from all the fags he'd been smoking. I just remember he had, like, some, like, leather jacket that looked like it'd never been, like, you know, never been out of the sun for, like, 80 years or something. And he's like, yeah, it's fine. So I bought this Renault Clio. And to be fair, it turned out pretty good, the Renault Clio. I had that for about, that passed 2 MOTs. That did.
Wow.
Oh, nice. Was he a private seller or was he
Yeah, he was a very private
or a dealer?
yeah.
He was, yeah.
If that guy's still alive, I'd be surprised. He was like a male version of Dot Cotton.
And did the Clio have a name at all?
Yeah, I called it Blade.
Strong.
Yeah, Blade. But when it was misbehaving, called it Wesley. So I had Blade, and actually, oh god, this is so
Was it Wesley Snipes?
This is so
Wesley Snipes must be.
This is so embarrassing, honestly. Like, I've come on this podcast just to lay out my automotive shame. So basically, when I had Blade.
It's like therapy.
Yeah, it is in a way. I used to work like doing temp work, like working on bars in places temporarily. And so I was working up at Goodwood, and I was just on the bar up there. And the recruitment agent was like, oh, if anyone's driving, can you give some people a lift back? We'll pay you extra. So I was like, yeah, cool. Blade's got plenty of room. And the one day I was driving back along the A27 from Goodwood back to Worthing with like me, my mate Joey, and 3 people in the back. And like the exhaust fell off on the A27. It was so bad. Just driving along, all of a sudden there's just this huge clunking sound. I just like the sound of just metal being scraped along the road to like 60 miles an hour.
It's a good job the A-man wasn't on board with you.
Well, I had to, what did I do? I came off the A27 and I think I went and parked it up at the Fox in Patching, like a pub. I just left it in the car park.
Yeah.
And then like a couple of days later, I think I got it towed down to some garage. Got a new exhaust put on there. And then it was good there for another year. And I eventually scrapped Blade.
Oh, okay.
And then...
Dan, your mechanical know-how, where would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 with the spanners?
0.
Okay.
0, mate. Absolutely.
What sort of era are we talking with the Clio, Dan? What sort of year was that it got culled, shall we say?
It must have been like 2013, 2014, something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe a bit late, 2015 probably.
Mm.
God. And then I had another car, which I can't remember where it was, some kind of Fiat something. Ernest was a good boy. I had him for about 3 years. Nothing crazy to report there. I just eventually scrapped that one as well.
Fair enough.
And then I inherited Green Lightning. And Green Lightning, bless him, bless her, done 2 MOTs on Green Lightning, still going strong. So
you could be the face of Quick Fit. I think you'd be.
Yeah,
You could, yeah. Need to get like club card points, don't you? The scrapyard or something like that.
Shout out Davis Metal Recycling in Lansing.
You've got 6 bonnets now on your stamp card.
I think you get the next one free, don't you? You turn up and they give you one back.
Yeah, it's just embarrassing, you know. Like I've never been one of these people who's had like a flashy car and never really been able to afford one. So you know,
do cars interest you at all? If you came upon a fictitious lottery win, or maybe a real one, would you bother to spend any money on a car or not really?
Do you know? I don't know. I kind of like driving around in bangers. I kind of like it, you know.
I do get that. I do think there's something in that, like, you know, just literally using your car as the vehicle, nothing else.
Yeah.
And then you don't get any sort of, you don't have to worry about it if you scrape it. You don't, you know, you just drive it around and blows up, you buy another one.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I'm not a great driver. I don't think that I'd be comfortable driving around in like a nice Audi or a BMW or something. Because I know I'd probably like reverse it into a lamppost and scratch all the alloy wheels or something. So yeah. But I
Just to jump, I was just going to jump back to your time in Australia doing the bus driving.
Yeah.
Were there any sort of interesting tales from that? Whereabouts in Australia was it?
that was in Byron Bay, in the middle of the East Coast.
Okay.
It's just like a little tiny surfer town.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I say bus driver. Like the job was like every day there'd be like imagine like National Express coaches coming into town.
Mm.
Yeah.
And they obviously bring in backpackers in at regular intervals throughout the day. And so like my job would be to drive the minibus basically around the corner and up the street,
Mhm.
pick up some people and then bring them back down. Yeah, it was like literally like a 2-3 minute drive. So yeah, you'd kind of be on call to do that like multiple times throughout the day. But you get free accommodation, free food, and I think it was like 7 drinks a week in the bar.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool.
I did a similar thing. Well, I wasn't a bus driver, but when I was in Sydney, I stayed at a hostel and ended up working in the kitchen and got a similar sort of package, shall we say. But there wasn't any sort of 7 drink thing with me for some reason. But hey ho.
So you just save up all your 7 drinks until the weekend, and then you get a free Friday night or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was good. But it was a pretty good deal actually, because like every hostel in town had like a bus driver, like a bus tout. Because like sometimes it'd be like people who would just come off the bus without a booking, and like all of the bus drivers would sort of have to like tout for their business, like come to our hostel, we've got a pool, or we do jelly wrestling competitions, or we've got quiet rooms, whatever. So yeah, like the bus touts, I think there must have been about 10 hostels and probably about 4 or 5 bus touts per hostel. So you're in kind of like an exclusive little club kind of thing.
Mm.
And then so like all the clubs and bars around town as well, they'd like treat you like royalty, because obviously like you're the first person who the backpackers meet when you come in. And then, then like you end up like taking people out on nights out and stuff. So like all the clubs in town would be like, we used to get a free meal every night at Cheeky Monkeys. And every Thursday, there was a club called Coca Mangas, a cocktail bar. They'd every second Thursday they'd do like a pizza and cocktail night for free for all the bus touts. So you just turn up and you get free pizza, free cocktails, and then you'd kind of get like free drinks and Cheeky Monkeys and stuff. So it was like every single night it'd be like free dinner at the hostel, free drink, and then go up to Cheeky Monkeys for another free dinner, another free drink, and then by that point you've met a bunch of people who come off the bus and you end up partying with them all night, and then you got to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to join the bus again. So yeah, it was actually.
Dare I ask about a potential breathalyzer incident occurring in the morning?
No, thankfully, no incidents to report there. Thankfully, but it was a pretty good gig. I did it for about 3 months. It was quite fun. You just stayed in the hostel for free. Getting free food and free beers every night.
Was there much of like a sort of test to ensure you could do the job before they gave you the keys, as it were? Or was it just like, here's the job?
I think end of day one, if you brought some people back and they were alive,
Yeah, they're all alive.
Yeah,
you passed the probation.
pretty much. Yeah,
Good times.
but things have progressed. I've gone up in the world a bit since then. So now I've got like my own jewelry business. I work as a jewelry designer. This is my workshop in Worthing. And I've actually had some quite like interesting automotive themed like commissions in the past.
Okay, cool.
The most recent one, which I thought was very cool, is a lady contacted me through Instagram. I can't say her name or anything because it's meant to be like a surprise for her husband.
Yeah, let's not ruin it.
Just called her Doris for the benefit of the tape.
Yeah, Doris. She
Thought Green Peril or something like that. Was hoping like we'd come up with a
Catwoman.
No, she's commissioned me to make a ring for her husband using pieces of carbon fiber off of like a £4 million Formula One car.
Wow.
Blimey.
So that's pretty cool. So I've got that sitting over there in the workshop. Start working on that next week. I've made like steering wheel inserts for a friend of mine who has like a very old Aston Martin.
Okay.
So he had like an ash steering wheel.
Mm.
And like the middle bit, something happened to the middle bit and he wanted to like replace it. So he contacted me and, sent me all the measurements and stuff. And I made him like a central piece for the steering wheel. which is pretty cool. And I also got requests as well. Like I've got some material here called Fordite. You ever heard of that?
No.
No. Well, Fordite is where they like spray paint the cars in the Ford factory, and then you get like the overspray that kind of sticks to the walls of like the spray booth or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like every few years they like go in, they like chunk it off. And so
Okay.
you end up with like this like a striped material,
Yeah.
like all the individual layers, all the different colored paints. So yeah, I'm just in the process of like making up a few like pendants and a few cool bits with the Fordite as well. So I do get some like interesting commissions for like automotive based bits.
Where can people find you, Dan? Where do they need to look?
You can find me. Well, I'm in the process of rebranding. So the best place to go is my website, danreesjewelry.com.
Cool. We'll send people there.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And you'll pick them up from the station in a minibus, take them back.
Only for 7 free drinks.
Straight down Pizza Express. First 7 on me. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get into this, Dan, this line of work?
Well, when I first moved to Worthing, a friend of mine, I don't even know how we got into it. I guess we just started like messing around with like using like reclaimed wood, like smashing apart pallets and then making things out of it, like coffee tables and mirrors and picture frames. And so we kind of started out this like little like woodworking kind of side hustle. And then I just gradually kept on getting requests from people sort of all over the world, like America. Can you send me a coffee table? Might be a bit much on the postage. And so this kept happening. And so I just sort of thought, like, what can I make and sell, which is like small, which I can kind of sell anywhere. And that's when I kind of found wooden jewelry, started making wooden rings. And then it sort of progressed from there, basically. Like my workshop got bigger as I acquired more and more tools. And so did my skill set. And now I've got, like you see behind me, I've got my metal lathes for machining bits of titanium and Damascus steel. I'm a registered goldsmith, so working with precious metals. And then I work with all sorts of strange materials like carbon fiber and mammoth tusks and you name it. I've had
That's amazing. I mean, it must be quite a niche industry. There can't be many of you guys about. Certainly in the UK, I wouldn't have thought, are there?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a cottage industry, I guess, for kind of like small scale makers of, I don't know, unique rings, I guess. Yeah, so it's cool. It's a little ring making community. So yeah, I've got a bit of a YouTube channel and stuff, and Instagram, and I do TikTok now. I'm in my 30s, and I do TikTok.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a slippery slope, Dan, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll have to come to you for some tips then, Dan.
Just Dan twerking.
I think, well, the main way I think to gain a lot of traction on there is to have very sizable breasts. That seems to work.
Just make a note of that.
Bearded Welsh gentleman with sizable breasts.
Yeah, I think you do great, you know. Plus 100k subscribers with each breast, guaranteed.
Well, yeah, thank you very much for spending some time with us, Dan. And yeah, it was good fun. It wasn't completely on topic at all times, but it was a good laugh and nice to chat with you.
I'm really sorry that I couldn't, give you some insight on some cool vintage cars or, anything of any use.
Oh, you don't need to apologise. I think sometimes it's kind of more enjoyable in a way to speak to someone that hasn't got the sort of petrol head interest. Because you do sort of go off on tangents, don't you? And it can be quite amusing, as we've proved today.
Yeah, well, I hope you've had a laugh. Anyway, I hope your listeners enjoy it. If anyone wants any crazy commissions done, then come check out my website, danreesjewelry.com. And if you want to follow me on like Instagram or YouTube, it's Zebrano Wood Craft.
Cool. We'll tag you in the stuff when it goes out.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you very much for joining us, dude.
Thanks, Dan.
No worries. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
There we go. That was Dan.
Nice. Yeah, that was good, wasn't it? You're going to enjoy editing that one.
try and keep it vaguely on topic. I think, yeah, we probably would keep a lot of it in
Yeah,
kind of laughter and silliness. And
yeah,
he's a pretty good storyteller,
yeah, 100%.
even if the stories aren't particularly on topic. So
Yeah, quite a car history, isn't it? That he's had.
yeah, some fairly dreadful cars with comical names.
Yeah, it just goes to show that you don't have to have had particularly outstanding vehicles in terms of like name and everything, but there's a story, isn't there, behind most cars that can be quite interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, yeah, the story's obviously not only for the car, is it? It's for the person and all those other sort of experiences which have gone with them. And I guess, yeah, not everyone is influenced by their parents' car choice, although maybe, yeah, sort of below the surface, he has deliberately gone with smaller vehicles because that's what his folks drove.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okie dokie. I think we probably, if we've not done it already, we've had a few coffees purchased recently.
Yeah. It's like sitting in a Costa or a Starbucks at the moment, isn't it? It's,
Yeah, thank you very much. But yeah, don't stop. Obviously, we're on a caffeine withdrawal at the moment, and
always thirsty.
yeah, keep them coming. So yeah, thank you to all those who dipped their hand and donated a few pounds to the cause. It's most appreciated. And yeah, we're working towards buying some gear so we can get out on the road and do more of these in person.
Yeah, definitely. No, massive thanks to everyone that's thrown us a few quid. Because yeah, it really does help, doesn't it? And we're looking to sort of get out on the road maybe once or twice and do something a bit different and see what happens.
Yeah, aspirations, more of that, and probably trying to do some more events as well. So
yeah,
maybe approach some event organisers and see if we can tout our wares and get on the lineup for some places.
Get the t-shirts out,
flog a bit of merch, and maybe get on stage and chat to a few people and do this to a live audience.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. We'll wrap it up, shall we? And roll credits. Thank you, John.
Cheers, Andy.
Thanks for listening to My Dad's Car podcast. If you have enjoyed this episode, please click subscribe, leave us a review and follow us on social media. If you'd like to support us further, you can buy us a coffee or sign up to give us a monthly bump start. You'll find details on our website, mydadscar.co.uk. Bye for now.